Morning, everybody. Hey, it's Coach Troy. Another wonderful morning and another beautiful morning here in Arizona. I am excited to, I've got the weekend coming up, and it makes me think about all the things that I've got to get done over the weekend, but I'm also starting to think about next week already, which is, I don't know, it's what I do on Fridays. I like to get my my habits for Fridays are all lined up so that I get everything ready so I can hit the ground running on Monday. And I don't know, the reason why I'm telling you this is because today I want to talk about how to create a game-changing momentum so that you can flip the momentum of your business, accelerate your business, take your business to the next level. And the first part of that is what I call the habit factor. So we're going to call this how to create a game-changing momentum, step one, which is the habit factor. And so obviously I was thinking about what I've got coming up over the weekend, but before I get into the weekend, I like to create a list of what needs to get done and what needs to happen for Monday. It's always something that keeps me on point so that I know by the time the end of the weekend comes around, I've already got my mind set on what's going to be happening next week. And anyway, so I was thinking about that today before I jumped on to the Periscope. And the other thing that I was kind of thinking about is I get asked a lot. I do a lot of speaking and in front of groups of people. I do presentations, I do workshops, I do stuff. And I get people that ask me all the time, do you ever get nervous? And the answer is yeah, I get nervous every single time. I mean, even getting ready to do one of these live streams, I get nervous. And I've got a few notes of things that I want to talk about, but pretty much in this kind of format, I kind of wing it. And yeah, it makes me nervous every single time. But luckily, I've done enough of it, and I've done enough to create kind of a routine of how to mentally get prepared and how to mentally get through something that does make me nervous or something that's very important. And I learned this back when I was playing sports. I used to play a lot of tennis. Now I play a lot of golf. And it's really easy to get nervous. It's really easy to get off track. It's really easy to let our emotions and to let the things that are going on in our life distract us from what our goal is, really what we're trying to do, where we're trying to get to, the goals and the aspirations we have in life. And this is where I came up with the idea and where I think it's so crucial to have this habit factor and understand how our habits impact our life, how our habits impact where we're going, what we're doing, our goals, and what the big picture success is that we're trying to achieve. So, yeah, I do get nervous, and one of the ways that I get over that is I have a routine that I go through. It's kind of a step-by-step process that gets me clear, that gets me centered, that gets me focused. And I want you guys to have something like that too. I want you to be thinking about how your habits impact what you're doing on a regular daily basis and understanding the power of habit. A little while ago, I was doing some research on this, and I found a statistic that showed, it was a study that was done by Duke University, that showed that over 40% of the activities that you perform on a daily basis are not based on conscious decision, but instead they are based on habit. Okay, over 40%. So I know there's people that pop in and out of these kind of live streams a lot, and they're looking for something fun, they're looking for something risky, they're looking for something kind of crazy on these. But you know, maybe you'll stop for just a second and think about this one. Okay, over 40% of everything we do on a daily basis is habit. 40%. So I was doing the math on this, and I added it up, and I thought, okay, so if that's 40% of my day, 40% of everything. So I added this up, and I said, all right, well, if I was to take 40% of my day, and if I was to wake up at, let's say, 6 in the morning, and go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, well, 40% of that time is about 6.5 hours. 6.5 hours of your day. So I thought, all right, what would that look like if I was to squish all that into one continuous 6-hour block, about 6.5 hours? That would mean that if you woke up at 6 a.m., between 6 a.m. and 12:30 p.m., every single thing that you did, you were not in conscious control over. That's what that would mean. Every single thing that you did, you would not be in conscious control of it. That's why I think it's really important for us to understand the power of habits, because we lose consciousness and we go through life in a state at least 40% of our day is a state of unconsciousness. Okay, so the way that occurs for me, and unfortunately, I was thinking, well, that would be one thing if it was all in one kind of chunk of time, like 6 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., but it doesn't happen like that. It happens more sporadically. So it's kind of like you're leaving home, or let's say you're leaving the office, and you're heading home, and on the way, you jump in the car, and you think to yourself, okay, I got to go pick up my dry cleaning. And so then you start driving, and next thing you know, you pull into your driveway. And then you're like, crap, I forgot the dry cleaning. Okay, this is something that happens to me regularly. There's always something I'm going to do, and then next thing you know, I get to where I was going, usually home or the office, one of those two places, and I totally forgot to do that. Why does that happen? It's habit. It's a process. Our brain just does it automatically. And if we don't understand how that works, it is so easy to get distracted. Okay, it's easy to get distracted in our daily life. I don't know if you're working on trying to improve your diet, trying to improve your health, trying to improve your fitness, trying to improve your mental attitude, trying to improve your financial situation, trying to improve your business where you're making more money, you've got better people working for you, you're selling more product, whatever it is. I'm telling you, already, right now, the habit factor is working against you. Okay? It's helping you to keep doing what you've been doing. It's helping you to stay in that same pattern, that same rut, that same thing that you've been doing over and over and over. We are biologically designed to do it that way. I think that's important to know. That was crucial, kind of an eye-opener for me going, wow, that means I got to work extra hard if I'm going to make any kind of change. Any kind of change whatsoever requires a tremendous amount of effort, focus. We've got to redesign our environment. We've got to design everything around us. We've got to design our friends. We've got to redesign our family. We've got to redesign the physical things, the tables, the chairs, our clothes, our cars. Everything has got to be redesigned to help support us in the way that we are going to reach our goals. And right now it's not. I know for a fact it's not there supporting you to reach your goals, because if it was, you'd already have them. Get that? You already have them. If everything was designed to have you reach the goals that you're shooting for, whatever that was, for your business, for your life, then you'd already have it if it was set up. So it's not set up like that. It's set up to give you what you're getting, what you've already been getting. It's set up to give you what's already currently happening. And for most people, if you want a better, let's say, make more money, your life is designed to give you exactly the amount of money that you have. So we need to start working on changing those habits in order to get what we want. Not just say, okay, New Year's resolution or my new goal is to make more money or lose weight or improve my business or whatever. I now have to set my goal as, all right, I need to create a habit. I need to change a habit. I need to make something that will help me set up my environment that will support me so that the goal that I want happens to me. Okay, now I said I wanted the topic of this Periscope to be that about how to create a game-changing momentum shift. Now, I work with people in business, and so I focus mostly on business, but this applies to your life as well. Okay, you can use this in any element of life because, I focus on business, I focus on business work, but business is all about people. And people are run and people are driven by the habits. So we've got to look and see, all right, what habits do I have that are giving me what I'm getting? What habits do I need to put in place? So I think there's a couple steps. Pretty simple. The first one is the awareness. To start looking at, all right, here, if I know what my goal is, so I guess that would be step one, is to identify what that goal is. So if I can identify what that goal is, here's what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to improve my business. I'm trying to make money, whatever that is. If I know what that goal is, now I have to look and see, what are my current habits? What are the current recurring patterns that I run that are inconsistent with me achieving my goals? Okay, so I work with a lot of successful people. A lot of successful people have a lot of great habits. But the challenge is that when they're good, they don't realize the little habits that have come up that are kind of getting in their way because everything else is working so good. Okay? And it's a reoccurring, typically a habit of thought. It's a thought pattern of how I'm thinking about a particular situation. So what I run into a lot is an entrepreneur or even an executive, and they're kind of stuck in a rut, trying to get, like for a good example, time. I talk to a lot of people that are really crunched on time. They don't have a lot of time, a lot of extra time. Everything is kind of pre-planned, pre-programmed, and if it's not pre-planned, then they're just running around kind of chasing their tail like, fighting fires, so to speak. And so I asked them why they're doing that and why that is happening. And what I hear over and over, it's kind of like the Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit from the Alice in Wonderland that's running around saying, I'm late. And nobody really knows what that rabbit is late for. It's just late. And I see a lot of people that are late for stuff. They're running around. They got a lot of stuff going on. And when I ask them, they say, well, I'm building a business. The business is busy. I got stuff to do. Part of my job is to figure out what that stuff is and help them to be working on the right things. And what I see over and over is that the stuff that they're working on, they work on as a pattern of habit. It's stuff they don't need to be doing anymore. Yet it's ingrained in the works. A lot of times, especially for entrepreneurs, business owners, they get a habit around having to do their finance, their bank balancing. They've got to look at their numbers. They're obsessed with the numbers. Or maybe it's a habit around checking email. Things that honestly we don't really need to be doing. They're not the most profitable activities. But when I ask them about it, why are you doing this? Oh, I have to check my emails. I have to respond to these clients. I have to be available. I even see people with a habit of answering their phone in the middle of dinner, on the weekends, on holidays. They can't get away from it. They never turn it off. It's literally just a pattern of thought that keeps them from doing the things that they need to. Well, the first step we have to do is obviously identify what our goals are and what we want to accomplish. Then we have to look and see what are the habit patterns that we're running that are inconsistent with achieving that goal. Okay? And I would really encourage you to look at your patterns of thought. Not just things that you're doing, but also patterns of thought. There are stories that we tell ourselves about why we need to do something, why something has to be a certain way, why something is a certain way. One of my favorite examples, I tell this story all of the time, was a client of mine. I dubbed her the Tasmanian Devil, and her pattern, her story, I asked her why she was so crazy. The reason why I dubbed her the Tasmanian Devil was because she would get so wound up, she would get so tight, she would get so intense with the information that was coming to her from her client. So a client would call her with a problem. Hey, you've got to fix this. She would get so intense with these calls, 2 or 3 calls in a row. She'd burst into the office, she'd get to her staff, and she would just barf all this information on. We got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. Okay, I got to run. And then she's gone. And to me, that was like she would just spin around like the Tasmanian Devil, barf this information, and then she's gone. And she had to go take care of something else. Well, what that would do is that would leave the staff in the office. Okay, we got to run around. We got to do this. Now everyone's running around like a bunch of crazy people with their chickens with their head cut off. And I asked her one day, and I said, why do you do it like that? Like, where did you get this whole process of getting all worked up and then bursting in the office and yelling and barking orders at people and telling everyone what to do and then running out? And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, where did you get that idea? Why do you do that? It's kind of a simple question. And she's like, well, that's just the way that I learned how to do it. That's how my bosses did it when I was growing up in this business. That's just kind of how it's done here. And right then I noticed there is a habit pattern going on. There is a story that says this is how things are done. A lot of stories go around like, I don't know, a great story. I don't know how to do it. It's too difficult. I'm too tired. Those are stories I hear. They're very personal stories, but they're definitely stories about why I can't do something, why something isn't working. And I want you to realize that a lot of those stories they're recurring stories in your life, but they're habit patterns. It's a thought process that your brain just keeps doing over and over and over. And the more you acknowledge that story, the more you tell that story, the more you keep believing that story, the deeper that habit gets ingrained into you. And, well, I guess you can say it's the harder it is to let go of it. But the good part is what I've figured out working with some people. I'm doing these habit changes and helping the business develop so that they would set up their own personal habits, is that I don't really want you to change a habit. That's the thing. I don't want you to change a habit. What I want you to do is I want you to create a new, better habit and focus on that one. It is way easier to do that than to try to stop doing something that you've already been doing. Okay? So first thing, identify that goal that you want to do, whatever that is. Start looking at your habits. Where are you inconsistent? Where are you doing something that is different from what you should be doing? What habit is going to be, or what are the habits that you have that are not consistent with where your goal is? And then the third one is identifying a habit that would be more constructive, more important, and instead of trying to stop doing the other things, we're just going to put this one in place. We're just put this one right on top of it, and that's going to be your focus. Okay, and then we have to focus on that. I think that first focus in terms of that habit that we want to put in there is, I like to think in terms of, I read this term a while ago that they call it the keystone habit. Keystone habit is kind of like the first domino. So it's that first domino, you click that first domino, then the rest of the dominoes fall over. That's that keystone habit. And I think if you really want to make a big significant shift, especially create momentum in your business, we need to identify what that keystone habit is, that one thing. And I like it to be a real simple thing. Okay, something very simple, something very easy. It could be as easy as every morning you write down the one win, the one goal that you want to accomplish for the day. And you do that every morning, and you keep a log of that. And that could be a great keystone habit. I've even heard people that they want to lose weight, right? And if they want to lose weight or they want to get into shape, a great keystone habit would be to lay out your workout clothes. Let's say you're going to go work out in the morning. Lay out your workout clothes before you go to bed at night. Or even put your running shoes on right next to the bed. So when you get up, instead of putting on your slippers or whatever, you just put your running shoes on. Well, you're already half dressed, so then you go, right? Simple things that you can do that are like that first domino. And then that causes the next thing to happen, and then that causes the next thing to happen. So, that was a good one. I like that. Anyhow, okay, you guys. So if you want to create a game-changing momentum shift, step one is the habit factor, is looking at what your habits are and identifying what that goal is, identifying what the habits are that are not consistent, and then the third one is work on setting up that keystone habit, which is the first piece that you're going to go after, that's very simple, that will be your first domino that will keep you rolling down the road. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Next week, I'm going to come back with creating your game-changing momentum. We'll talk about step 2, and I'm going to leave you hanging on what that is, but I'm going to say you don't want to miss it. Okay, step 2 is probably the most important step after step 1. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.